Hello everyone, I am Vibha Chauhan and welcome to Jahan Classes Funda Clear. So today I will explain Class 8 History Chapter 7. Chapter is Civilizing the Native, Educating the Nation. So till now we have seen that British came in India and they were conquesting and they had affected peasants, Nawabs, tribal communities, all people of India, and in this chapter we will study about the impact of Britishers on the life of students. What was effect on education system? Because when Britishers came in India, they thought of civilizing the India. They thought that they had to civilize the natives of India, and in this chapter we will study about the civilizing, the education system, how did they educate the natives, educate the nation of India. So we will study all these things in this chapter. So what we are going to study in this chapter? What are the topics of this chapter? The topics of this chapter are how the British saw education, and in this we will study the tradition of Orientalism, grave errors of the East, education for commerce, what happened to the local schools, the report of William Adam, new routines, new rules, the agenda for a national education, English education has enslaved us, Tagore's abode of peace. So our first topic is how the British saw education. So Britishers had come to India and they were introducing new rules, new routines, new things. They had granted new things. So how did they saw the education of India? Our first subtopic is the tradition of Orientalism. So in 1783, a person named William Jones, who was appointed as junior judge of Supreme Court, came in India, and he was not only the known of law, but he was also a linguist. He had known many languages like Greek, Latin, French, English, Persian, and in India he was also learning Sanskrit from Hindu Pandits. So in India he came and he was interested in ancient history of India, in poems, in traditions, in cultures of India, and he was joined by Nathaniel Hallett and Henry Thomas Colebrooke, who were also busy in discovering the ancient things of India, ancient glory of India, and together they set up Associated Society of Bengal. And they thought that in India, in past of India, in ancient India, there was a lot of glory which had disappeared due to present situation. So they were discovering the glory, the lost glory of India, and they thought if they do this, then people would consider them as their guide and as well as masters, and they thought to control the India, to rule over India, they had to win the hearts of natives, heart the people of India, because if they were happy, then they could control, they could rule over India easily. So this was their purpose of finding glory of India, finding ancient things of India, ancient past of India. And Orientalism means the culture and tradition of Asia. So they were called as Orientalists, but all officials do not share the same way, share the same path. All officials were not same. So our next subtopic is grave errors of the East. So I have discussed that they were Orientalists who performed ancient language, ancient history of India. They were interested in Indian glory, but they were also British officials who were against the Orientalists, who were completely against Orientalism, Indian educating system, Indian ancient history, Indian culture and tradition. And one of the biggest critiques of those was James Mill. In chapter 1 we have discussed that who was James Mill. So James Mill was one of the biggest critics who was against Orientalist. He said that it was waste of money, waste of time in performing the Orientalism, as the Orientalist had set up Madrasa in Calcutta and Hindu college in Banaras. So he was against those colleges, against those institutions. He said that it was waste of money, and he said that there should be English teaching system in India, English education system in India. And one of other critiques was Thomas Babington Macaulay, who also said that India was an uncivilized country who had to be civilized, which had to be civilized by Britishers, by Western countries. He said that in Western there were scientific thoughts, there was scientific literature, but in India there were no practical, there were no moral things, they were unscientific, they were light-hearted. And he said that a single shelf of West Library was worth the whole native education of India and Arab. So it was a very conflict statement, as he compared a single shelf of his library, of Britain Library, to the whole education, whole teachings of India. And on the basis of Macaulay's minute, in 1835 a new act was imposed, in which there was that English should be medium of study in India. English must be emphasized in India to teach students, to teach people. So this was about who against Orientalist, and the institutions like Madrasa in Calcutta and the Hindu college in Banaras, which were promoting Orientalism, were completely shut up, had not been promoted, and the Orientalism was not spreading, and the institutions, Madrasa and the Hindu college, which was built by Orientalists, was considered as a temple of darkness, which were decoying themselves. So this was all about grave errors of the East. They were considering East as the grave errors. There were many errors of education system. So our next subtopic is education for commerce. So Britishers were also doing education system. They were promoting English for their commerce also, for their economy also. How did they? In 1854, the board of directors of British East India Company, because British East India Company was just a private company which was controlling India. So there were also a board of directors who was supreme, who was head of British East India Company. So that board of council, board of directors issued a new dispatch which was known as Wood's Dispatch. It was known as Wood's Dispatch because it was issued by the principal, the head of the board of directors, Charles Wood. He issued this dispatch, Wood's Dispatch, in 1854, considering the education system of India. What should be changes of India in India for education system? In this dispatch, it was that in India there should be emphasized on English. Education would be by English, in English. Students would be taught in English. And for the purpose of commerce, they also did the education system of English. Why did they only promote English? Because it was helpful, it was important for their commerce. How? Because if an Indian was learning English, his taste would also be changed, because he was learning English, he was learning science, he was learning Western things, then his taste would also be a Western thing. Then he would obviously buy things from West countries, from Britain because he was learning things of there, so he would also buy things from those countries, so there would be a commerce trade for British East India Company. So for this they also promoted English education, and another reason was also there, that was if they were teaching English to anyone, to any native of India, and he learned, then he would be honest to them, loyal to them, and they could be servant of there. As we have seen then in chapter 5, the sepoys who learned English, who learned education, who were taught by Britishers, were serving them. So they wanted them to serve them, because before they were using Britishers, from Britain servants had come, from Britain servants were coming, and they had to pay so much. But India, they would know that much money, they were no craving for that. So that's why they were promoting English education for their commerce, for their economy, for their money. And in this dispatch there were also changes, that universities were being built in Calcutta, in Bombay, in cities like these. So universities were being built, and there were also changes in schools, in primary schools. So what were those changes? Our next topic is what happened to the local schools. So think about that. What had been the education before British time, pre-British time, and during the British time there were changes. There were many changes, because Britishers wanted to convert school in English school, to convert the education system, the pre-primary schools, primary education system of India to there. Because if a child is learning from the root of his study about the Western things, then he would obviously do the things in his higher studies also. But if a child is learning in Sanskrit and Persian in his starting days in his primary schools, then he cannot learn English in his higher studies in universities. So for this they wanted to convert schools in English schools. So its first subtopic is the report of William Adam. So in 1830, William Adam, who was a Scottish missionary, was asked by British officials of East India Company to collect the information to make a report on vernacular languages, on vernacular schools of India, of Bengal and Bihar, vernacular, or you can say local languages of regions. So he was asked by British officials to make a report of vernacular education system of Bengal and Bihar, and he made a report in which he said that there were over 1 lakh pathshalas in the region of Bengal and Bihar, and each pathshala had maximum 20 students. You can say that it was a very less amount, but the total number of students in whole pathshalas was 20 lakh, over 20 lakh. So that was a big amount. And the system of study was flexible in pathshalas. Pathshalas were either made by a guru, was built by a guru, or local community, or a wealthy people. They could donate and make that pathshalas. So in pathshalas the system of education was flexible. How? Because there were no fixed fee, there were no separated class, there were no blackboards, no benches, no desks. Students had to sit on the ground on a mat. So the system of education was flexible. There were no suffocation or anything. So there was no fixed fee. That means the fee was dependent on the parents' income. If he was rich, then the money would be high, the fee would be high. But if he was poor, if he was very poor, then there would not be fee. His his child would be studied with no fee. So the system was very suited for the local people of those reasons, because there were no suffocation or oppressive things. Students had to attend class but not regularly. If there was a harvesting season, if the peasants had to harvest, then their children would help them, so the class would be closed, because the guru also had gone to his harvesting and students also. So if it was a rain or it was a harvesting, then there would not be any class. So this was very helpful for peasants' children. So because of these pathshalas, even a child of peasant could study. So William Adams said that this was that these vernacular educations were suited for the local people, needs of local people. So our next subtopic is new routines, new rules. So as I have discussed that William Adams made a report of vernacular education system. So Britishers were not satisfied with that study, with that education system. As I have discussed that they wanted to control the primary, the school level of education system, and they thought that it was light-hearted, it was unscientific, it was a not kind of Western study, scientific thoughts. So they wanted to make a change, and after 1854, in 1854, because there was a Wood's Dispatch, so after 1854 they made changes in vernacular system of education. What were those changes? First change was that a pundit was appointed to interfere, to show the report of 4 or 5 schools, 4 or 5 pathshalas, or you can say schools, because after that they were called as schools. So a government pundit was appointed by British officials, and his work was to check the teaching of 4 or 5 schools of his area. He had to report how was the teaching. If there were any kind of problem, then he had to report British officials. If the pathshala was not working as compiled as asked by Britishers, so he had to give them report. And another change was new routines were imposed, new regulations, new rules, new things were introduced to pathshalas. First was that there was a regular fee. There was no much or less. They were fixed. They were regular fee. And second was that there was a regular class. They had to attend class of every day. They didn't have to skip any class. And another change was also there. It was that students had to sit on their fixed seats. Their seats were fixed. Their uniforms had been made. There were many changes over there. And you might have been thinking that Guru, who was teacher of pathshala, why did he do that? Why he accepted the order of Britishers? Because if he wanted that, he could refuse to do that teachings. That teachings means the Britishers had changed the idea of education, vernacular education. They were teaching in English, and they were printed textbooks, they were printed books, because before there was an oral teaching. Gurus used to teach in oral method. There were no printed textbooks. But after the British regulations, after the new routines were imposed, written textbooks had arrived, and Gurus had to teach in that way, in that method. So why did they accept? Because some Gurus were granted by Britishers. They were granted money by Britishers, and the other who didn't want grant from Britishers, they wanted to interdependent on British officials. They wanted to open their own Pathshala were not supported by government. If Pathshala was not supported by government, then how could they run their Pathshala? So this was problem, and new regulation, because of new regulations, because of new routines. New routines were those, as before there was no time of children coming in school, coming Pathshalas, but after there was a fixed time that they had to come in that time, there was a kind of discipline. And another change was also there. It was that there were separate classes for students, like we see upper primary, junior, senior. So the classes were separated according to kids, according to children. So these were all changes to make discipline, to the new routines were imposed. So our next topic is the agenda for a national education. So you might have been thinking that Britishers were doing all their force for the education, for against the vernacular education system. So what were the people, what were the natives of India doing? What were they doing? So some people had thought that the Western education system was better than that of India. They thought that the Western education system would help India to modernize. There would be modernity if we accept the Western education. So this was their thought. However, there were also another persons who disliked the Western education system. They urged power that there would not be a Western education system against Western education system. They wanted Indian education system like Rabindranath Tagore and Mahatma Gandhi. So our first topic is English education has enslaved us. So as I have talked that Mahatma Gandhi was one of the people, was one of the persons who was against the Western education system. He said that a person of India became a stranger of their own land, of his own land, if he study English, if he understand English. Because if he is learning English, then he would have no pride of their own language. The people of India were thinking that the vernacular languages were of no use. There was no use of those, but they were thinking as of supreme or primarily of Western languages, of English, of Western education system. They were losing their self-respect and dignity. So it was his thought that if they were learning English, then they would have lose their dignity, their self-respect. And another factor was also that if anyone has learned English, then any people who was educated with English would not be able to spread it to masses, would not be able to communicate with masses. Because if anyone has learned English and he had to come in his own land in India, so how would he communicate with the local people of India, local persons of India, local people who didn't know how to speak in English? So Mahatma Gandhi thought that English was no of use, the people would have lose their dignity, and he also thought that the Western education system was only based on reading and writing. He said that it was no of moral education, it was no of practical language, practical education. He meant practical as of his handcraft. He said that education means educated people means that you have to work, you have any craft of hands. That was real education on the basis of Mahatma Gandhi. He said that there was nothing in Western education system except of writing on reading. They were considering writing or reading as most, and people would become as mugged up who had already mugged up but had not understand anything. If anyone has to be an educated person of India, then they have to understand, they have to learn any craft of their own, they have to do their work of their own. So this was his thought, and in the national movement which was led by him, he asked the students to leave all studies equipments to the Britishers, and there would not be any studies. He urged against the education system of Britain, of East India Company. So the next and last subtopic of this chapter is Tagore's Abode of Peace. Abode of Peace means Shanti Niketan. It is an institution which was set by Rabindranath Tagore in 1901. Rabindranath Tagore, as a child, he felt very suffocating and oppressive in his school. In his school days, he thought that he was prisoned in a jail because he was prisoned by the four walls, by the walls of his school. He felt very suffocating. He could not see nature, and he see that was very hard for him to study, and he hated going to school, and he wanted to make a school, to build a school, to set up a school after growing up where children would be happy, would be creative, would compile with nature. So this was his thoughts, and he wanted to set up a school where teachers would have made curiosity in their children, in the children which were studying. So his thought was that in childhood the nature of children was self-learning. As a child would always self-learn. As you see that in a childhood state, in a stage of childhood, a kid always learns by himself. His nature is self-learning. And second thought was that he wanted teachers which would make curiosity in children. As he thought, if a child has no interest in any subject, then this was a fault of his teacher. He have to make only curiosity on his child, on the children. And he also wanted children to be free, to feel free and creative. And for this, in 1901, 100 kilometers away from the main city of Calcutta, he made an abode of peace, a Shanti Niketan, which was an institution and where children were being taught by teachers, and Rabindranath Tagore was checking the studies, checking the education system by himself. So this was an institution where he used to teach children because he wanted to make an education where the Indian culture would also be compiled with some science and some education of Britain, because he was against only of the teaching style, but their studies were a little bit good according to him. And you can see that the Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore thoughts were similar, because they both wanted against British education which was led by British. However, there were some differences. What were those differences? Difference was that Mahatma Gandhi's thought was completely against not only of education system, the style of system, but the worship of machines and technology of Western system, Western countries. He unliked the worship of machines, use of machines, technology, science of Western. But Rabindranath Tagore wanted to make an abode of peace where would be a compile of Indian, best of Indian culture, Indian studies with some science of Western system, with technology of Western system and of Indian culture. There would be music, art, craft, and you can see that both were right on their own way. As you can say that because of increasing mechanized systems, increasing machines, now there are many unemployed people. So both on their way are right, and there was debate between people about education system, then what should they do. Even after independence of India, there were debates, and even till now you can see the debates for education system, then what should be changes, what about English learning, then there are many debates over this. So this was all about the subtopics. Our chapter is completed. I have discussed all topics and subtopics, and in next video I will discuss next chapter. So thank you very much.